Dennis Prager here, and my guest is Christopher Hitchens, best-selling book, God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. I do want to return for a moment, Christopher, to the question that you cite me asking you in your book, now that we can, forgetting how it was posed the first time, though you acknowledge I may well have said what I think I said, or I'm pretty certain that I said that it was a Bible class. So let me put it to you then in the way that I meant it. And clarify for both of us. If you were in an American city that you were not familiar with, alone, late at night, and you couldn't find your car in a bad neighborhood, and you saw 10 men walking toward you, would you or would you not be relieved to know that they had just attended a Bible class?
Not relieved. Mm-hmm. Not alarmed either necessarily, but not relieved.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's irrelevant to me, in other words.
I see.
I wouldn't be looking for a group of 10. Right. I wouldn't be looking for a minyan at that point.
Right. Well,
I'd be looking for a friendly face, which you can find just as probable you'll find from an atheist as from someone else. So, I just think your question lacks force, if you follow me.
Okay. I think it's rhetorical. It's so forceful, but you don't, and that's fine. But that was my question, and most people, including atheists, I think, if put to a real-life test, would be relieved to know that they had just attended a Bible class. I mean, I admit I would be relieved to know that they had just attended a physics class.
They just come from studying Thomas Paine's Rights of Man.
Yes, you're right.
I would feel positively cheered up.
I'm sure. Right. The only difference is, of
course,
course,
members of the local Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen. In the bad parts of our city, the only chance of people really being elevated morally is through a Bible class, not a Thomas Paine class, in real life.
Well, that's probably why these areas are so bad.
No,
yes. They'd be a lot better off if they were studying.
No, they would be better off.
They'd be a lot better off if they were studying the beauties of the secular Constitution and the principles of the American Revolution.
Well, both of them. I agree with you.
If Bible study improved these things, it would have done so in the last 2,000 years.
Well,
it doesn't.
Well, it has done it in the United States. It depends how it's applied. I think America did make a better country, and it has been a religious country.
I don't deny there are a lot of religious believers in this country, but they're kept at bay by the law. And that's what's made it a great country, is that it has a constitution that prevents the clergy from influencing the state, and the state from taking over the churches. Very, very important.
Yeah, I know
Mr. Jefferson, build up that wall.
Well, Mr. Jefferson wrote that in one letter, and in fact, it was written by men who believed that liberty comes from God. That's why the Liberty Bell has a Bible quote and not a Thomas Paine quote.
Well, look, Mr. Jefferson didn't feel able to say in his lifetime, nor did Mr. Franklin, what they actually felt about the holy books, but that's because religious intimidation was...
wait a minute, but you know how they felt about the holy books.
Well, we know now, yeah. We do know now because we can read their...
Yes.
Have been able to read their private correspondence, but everybody knew at the time it was dangerous because of the intolerance and bigotry of the godly to say if you didn't believe in the truth of Revelation.
Thomas Paine didn't get hurt for his non-belief.
Until the First Amendment to the Constitution was passed, there were states of the Union where if you denied the Trinity or the Holy Spirit, you could be, on a third or fourth offense, put to death without benefit of clergy.
Yeah, it never happened, so it's theoretical. I have to, because of the time factor, I want to push on to the God question for a moment.
Why not?
Yeah, agreed. You write here that your maker, that is our maker, whatever made us, turns out not to be a who, but a process of mutation with rather more random elements than our vanity might wish.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is a purely emotional question, not an intellectual one. Would you rather, and please be honest with me, purely emotionally, would you rather be created by a maker, a who, or by a process of mutation with random elements?
Well, because, I do understand your question. I don't want to seem to duck it, but because I am the product of a process that's led to me being a mammal, with a lot in common with other primates, and indeed now I've had my DNA sequence analyzed, as I hope everyone listening to this will do. You can get it done from the National Geographic. Things in common with vegetables and plants as well as with other beasts. Because I am a mammal, I'm much more likely to call on God and wish that there was a real plan for me and that the universe was all organized for my benefit. That's a mammalian failing.
Wait.
I'm aware of it in myself.
Wait.
I'm aware of it in myself.
Okay,
I don't
this is
respect it at all.
Okay, this is. I didn't finish your book. Did you write that in your book that you personally wish that?
I don't wish it. I say it's
No. You say it's a failing.
The tendency.
But you.
Oh yes.
But all right. But you acknowledge that you have that failing.
I can't. I'm in no position to deny it.
Why do you? All right, why do you?
I got over it when I was 9.
All right, why do you consider it a failing to prefer to be a human in God's image than a vegetable?
Because it's wish thinking.
No. But why is it?
Which I find contemptible. It tries to get me off the inevitability of death, which I accept. I don't deny. It gives me the absurd. It's designed to give me the absurd feeling that the universe is all arranged with me in mind, which I know it's not.
You know it's not.
I know it's not. No, it's not arranged with me in mind at all.
He knows it's not.
Yeah.
How do you know it's not?
Well,
I understand if you believe it's not. Yes.
Anytime I ever walk around with the idea that it is arranged with me in mind and me at its center, rude reality tends to disabuse me of this self-centered illusion. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't like it in myself, and I don't like it in other people.
Do you have a wish for world peace?
No, I don't have a wish for world struggle.
So do you have? Do you have any wishes?
Oh, many. Yes, I want a very sharp struggle against theocracy and its apologists. I don't want peace with them. I want victory over them. I want war.
If all these secular evil regimes could be overthrown, or all religion could be overthrown, but only one, which would you choose?
But only one. Which
one of the two?
The desire to worship is to make men and
no. But you're evading the question. You're evading the question. But I'll give you an entire break to think it through. In other words, regimes like Kim Il Sung. I know you say he's worshipped, but that doesn't matter. But it's a secular regime. We'll be back. Final segment with Christopher Hitchens. The book God Is Not Great. I'm Dennis Prager. You're listening to the Dennis Prager Show. This hour has gone really fast. My guest, Christopher Hitchens, his book, God Is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. And I asked you, since you would love to see, your dream is to have people rebel against religion. So I'm asking you, if you could have an Aladdin's lamp and get your wish realized, would you remove all the bad secular regimes, or would you destroy all religion in the world?
Well, if the adoption of my principles was general, and suppose I'm allowed to wish that everyone thought roughly like myself, which I'm not even sure I would want, but suppose I could. The adoption of the principles of Spinoza and Jefferson and Thomas Paine and Albert Einstein would have the same effect on any dictatorship, whether it was formally atheist and consisted of the worship of human beings, or formally theistic and consisted of the worship of human beings who claimed that they represented God. It would have the same solvent effect on both. So they vanish with the same rub.
Well, all right. So it would be a toss-up for you, since they both emanate from the same.
I mean, if you mean would I now, this minute, if I could rescue the people of North Korea from what is, I've been there. I'm one of the very few people to have been to all three axis of evil countries, from what is a state of abject slavery. Would I do that before I would give the Pope a smack on the face for what he's just said about limbo? I would certainly emancipate the people of North Korea first. Yeah. If that's what it came to.
Right.
Sure.
Well,
it's urgent. I mean,
and what is
every day they live is one of absolutely unspeakable misery.
Do you believe that people are basically good?
No.
Then I particularly, and I respect that answer.
But
I don't either.
They're good. It's innate.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about innate. Do you believe we're innately good?
To the good bits of us are innate. I mean, you don't have to teach children the golden rule. You may have to.
Oh, yes, you do.
You may have to give it a bit of reinforcement, but you have to give it a bit of reinforcement with adults.
Okay.
They understand it without being. You don't have to explain it to them.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
No, empathy is not built into most kids. They're very happy to treat other kids in a bullying way and mock them and tease them.
Well, so are grown-ups, but
yes, I agree.
It becomes very evident to people quite early on.
No, but it doesn't.
They need the.
Maybe this is why we differ in the final analysis, because I believe that the golden rule is not innate and it has to be taught. And if there isn't a God behind it, it won't be very effective in its teaching.
Well, if you want to use God as a pedagogic tool,
I do.
I think that's rather a downgrading of the divine position. I
No,
mean,
no. I believe in God, but it doesn't. But I do believe in it.
I've done it myself. I have said to a turbulent 2-year-old son that I hope he knows that Santa Claus is watching what he's doing, and I've seen it have.
Yeah, all right, but I believe in God, not Santa Claus.
Excuse me, I'm not going to...
All right. I got to say goodbye. I got to thank you, Christopher Hitchens. The book, God is Not Great. I'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Righto. Bye-bye. Thank you.